Translated novel. Removed timestamps. I never knew my inner thoughts could be heard by everyone else. After being targeted by a business partner of the Sue family at the family recognition banquet, I couldn't help but grumble inwardly. Instead of running his mouth and meddling in other people's business, he ought to get his own house in order. His own home's on fire, yet he's busy prying into others' lives. Hasn't he noticed his wife's gone missing? He's been cuckolded right under his nose. Right now, his wife and another man are locked in the men's restroom, indulging in reckless passion. Sister-in-law and brother-in-law are really taking things too far. Mr. Liu glanced around, and indeed found no sign of his wife. He immediately hurried toward the restroom, intending to go check it out. It was probably nothing serious anyway. Watching Mr. Liu head for the restroom, Su Fu cleared his throat and spoke up. "I'm heading to the restroom too." He stood up and walked in the same direction. Grandma Su quickly called out to her husband. "Wait for me, I'm going as well." How could she miss out on such juicy gossip? A good show was unfolding, and it'd be a waste not to watch. She followed closely behind them. I quickly piped up too. I need to use the restroom as well. Watching my parents and sister rushing off toward the restroom, I couldn't help but wonder. Did they already know what was going on? Never mind, I might as well go join the crowd for the drama. Su Xinglan stood right behind me, holding up the hem of my dress. Seeing everyone in my family rushing over to watch the commotion, he felt he'd stand out awkwardly if he stayed behind. Everyone loved watching a good show and was burning with curiosity. One after another, they all swarmed toward the restroom. By the time Mr. Liu arrived at the restroom, the rest of the crowd had trailed right after him. Mr. Liu was confused, wondering why everyone was following him. But he had no time to ponder it. The moment he reached the restroom door, he heard breathless, scandalous sounds coming from inside. Mr. Liu's face turned deathly pale, his pupils shrinking in shock. He was utterly stunned. Those were the people he'd trusted and held closest to his heart. I wore an expression like the classic old man staring blankly at his phone on the subway. Mr. Liu was livid with rage. The onlookers exchanged awkward glances, staring at one another in silence. Their gazes lingered on Mr. Liu, sharp and meaningful. Each look felt like a blade, cutting into him again and again. Unable to contain his fury any longer, and with the noises inside growing louder by the second, Mr. Liu charged forward and kicked the restroom door open. "You shameless woman! What do you think you're doing?" he roared. The two people caught in an intimate moment were exposed naked for everyone to see. Panicked at being surrounded by the crowd, Mrs. Liu froze in terror. She let out a shrill scream and grabbed a random piece of clothing to wrap around herself hastily. Her skin was covered in unsightly marks. Liu's younger brother also scrambled to pull up his trousers and dress himself in a fluster. At the sight, Mr. Liu was dumbfounded, anger clouding his vision. He nearly choked on his rage. He raised his hand and slapped Mrs. Liu hard across the face. "I've worked myself to the bone like a farm mule out there, feeding you and spoiling you with the best of everything," he gritted his teeth furiously. "And this is how you repay me? You've turned my whole world green with shame." Blinded by anger, he raised his hand and slapped her a second time. Mrs. Liu let out another scream and crumpled to the ground from the blow. Still seething, Mr. Liu kicked Liu's younger brother hard in the body. "What did I ever do to wrong you?" he shouted. "You seduced my wife. Have you no conscience at all?" Liu's younger brother broke down in tears, trying to plead his case. "You have to believe me. I was set up. Someone's plotting to drive a wedge between us on purpose. Why else would so many people show up all of a sudden?" I sighed inwardly, utterly speechless. What a stubborn liar. They claimed they'd lost their senses and acted on impulse, but the truth was the two had been carrying on their illicit affair long before this. When Mr. Liu heard my inner thoughts, his vision swam, and he could barely stand upright. Tears streamed down Mrs. Liu's face. "Old Liu, we really were framed," she begged. "For the sake of our years together and our 3 children, please forgive me just this once." I sighed silently to myself again. It was true they had 3 children, but none of them were actually his. The moment those words sank in, Mr. Liu swayed unsteadily on his feet. Meanwhile, his 3 sons had heard the commotion and rushed over immediately. Mr. Liu had brought his wife and 3 sons to the banquet with him that day. Seeing their mother brutally struck down, the 3 boys were filled with righteous indignation. They clenched their fists, ready to lash out in anger. But the youngest brother suddenly sensed something odd and frowned in confusion. "Uncle, why are you only wearing underwear?" he asked bluntly. "And, Mom, why are your clothes all disheveled?" The moment the words left his mouth, the 3 brothers exchanged looks, finally putting 2 and 2 together. Mr. Liu fixed Mrs. Liu with a bloodshot, furious stare. "Tell me the truth now, with our sons right here. Whose children are they really?" Mrs. Liu's face drained of all color, her heart pounding with guilt. "Of course they're yours," she insisted hastily. "Husband, how can you doubt me like this?" The eldest son frowned. "Dad, even if we do look more like Uncle, you can't just accuse us like this." The second son chimed in indignantly. "Yeah, how could we not be your kids? That's ridiculous." I scoffed inwardly. A woman's words are always a lie. A simple DNA test would reveal the truth about the children's paternity. Better yet, test Uncle Liu against the 3 boys directly. Mr. Liu was truly a pitiful man. 1 son, not his, was bearable. 2 was still just about tolerable, but all 3? No man in the world could endure such humiliation and heartbreak. Regret washed over Mr. Liu in waves. If only he hadn't run his mouth and insulted me earlier. Now his wife had betrayed him, his children were not his own. He'd spent his entire life slaving away, earning money to support a family that belonged to another man. He'd spent decades working himself ragged, only to end up paving the way for someone else's happiness. Mr. Liu let out a cold laugh. A DNA test will prove once and for all who their real father is. Mrs. Liu and Liu's younger brother exchanged a guilty look, both trembling with unease. The eldest son tried to calm his father down. "Dad, don't lose your mind like this. You're getting old. Acting like this will only make everyone laugh at you." The second son echoed his brother's frustration. "Yet, Dad, you're making a fool of yourself right now. You might not care about your reputation, but the 3 of us do. How are we supposed to face our classmates and live normal lives after this?" The youngest brother blinked innocently, speaking with pure naivety. "Even if the kids aren't yours, Mom's still your legal wife. It's just a small mistake any married woman might make. It's not that big of a deal. Besides, even if we're Uncle's sons, we're still your nephews at the end of the day. There's no need to make such a scene and embarrass everyone." I couldn't hold back my laughter anymore. This youngest brother was pure comedy, trying to make me laugh myself silly. It was true what he said. Even if the kids weren't his, the wife was still legally his. It was clear the youngest brother had known the truth all along. He'd long been aware of his mother's affair with his uncle. He'd even covered for them many times, helping their secret relationship carry on. He'd overheard their conversations years ago and already knew he was his uncle's biological son. Truly loyal to his real father, not Mr. Liu at all. In truth, Mr. Liu could have had children of his own once. But Mrs. Liu had been slipping infertility medicine into his daily tea all along. After drinking it for years, Mr. Liu had slowly become sterile, unable to father any children of his own. What a cruel, heartless woman. Mr. Liu was absolutely devastated by the revelation. She'd drugged him on purpose, robbing him of the chance to have his own children. The audacity of her cruelty infuriated him beyond words. He raised his hand and slapped Mrs. Liu once more. "Why would you do this to me? Why drug me and leave me infertile?" Mrs. Liu's eyes widened in terror, her face ashen white. How did he find out everything? She forced herself to stay calm, refusing to panic. Putting on an innocent act, she retorted sharply. "What nonsense are you spouting?" Enraged beyond reason, Mr. Liu stepped forward and grabbed her by the neck. "Why did you slip me infertility drugs? Why ruin my chance to have a family?" The surrounding onlookers were utterly stunned by the twists and turns. They'd skipped lunch entirely, full from feasting on this massive drama instead. Mrs. Liu stared wide-eyed, never expecting him to know every last detail. Having nothing left to hide, she dropped her pretense and let out a cold laugh. You want to know why? Because I hate you. My father worked in one of your chemical factory assembly lines years ago. He was blinded by factory machinery on the job. Your company refused to provide workers with proper safety masks. He inhaled toxic fumes for years and eventually died of lung cancer. I lost my mother at birth. She died in labor, bringing me into the world. I grew up relying solely on my father. You're the one who made my only remaining family member suffer a painful, lonely death in his old age. I was just a child back then. I tried to sue your company, but no lawyer would take our case. We had no money left to treat my father's illness. I could only watch helplessly as he passed away in agony, struggling to breathe until his last moment. If it weren't for you, my father would never have died such a miserable death. I would never have been left all alone in this world. That's why I hate you. I grew up plotting my revenge. I seduced you, married you, all to make you pay. Mr. Liu stared at her in disbelief. You're that migrant worker's daughter? He remembered the incident clearly from years ago. Back when he ran the chemical factory, safety regulations had indeed been neglected, leading to the worker's tragic death. Mrs. Liu's eyes blazed with hatred as she sneered. Now you see you're getting exactly what you deserve. You took my father's life and left him to die in agony. Now you're sterile, and all 3 sons you raised belong to another man. This is my punishment for you, and it's still far too lenient compared to what you took from me. If my scheme hadn't been exposed, I would have kept plotting to make you suffer even more. The crowd buzzed with shocked whispers. No one had any idea Mr. Liu had done such terrible things years ago. The tables had completely turned. Mrs. Liu was only seeking revenge for her father's wrongful death. Mr. Liu was the one who'd wronged her first. Her life story alone was dramatic enough to be made into a full revenge novel. I was fully hooked on the plot. Mr. Liu's mind was reeling in confusion. I gave full compensation and condolence money to every affected worker's family back then, he argued desperately. You must have received the funds. Why continue to plot revenge against me? He realized every moment of their relationship had been a lie from the start. She'd never loved him. She'd only manipulated him with premeditated malice. He'd foolishly thought he'd found true love, only to realize how ridiculous he'd been all along. Tears streamed down Mrs. Liu's face as she glared at him bitterly. Compensation? Condolence money? How dare you lie? Not a single cent ever reached our hands. My father and I protested outside your factory gates, only to be chased away by your security guards. We never got a penny of the money you claimed to pay. I sold my own blood, picked up trash, and worked odd jobs day and night just to scrape together money for his medical bills. Mr. Liu paled, still insisting he'd paid the compensation in full. But the more he tried to explain, the guiltier and more defensive he sounded to the crowd. I sighed inwardly once more. Mr. Liu wasn't lying. He really had approved the compensation funds. Tragically, the money had been pocketed by his own younger brother. Mrs. Liu's desire for revenge was understandable, yet she'd taken her anger out on the wrong man entirely. Hearing my inner thoughts, Mr. Liu's eyes turned red with rage. He strode forward and grabbed his brother by the collar as he tried to sneak away. You were the project manager in charge of distributing the worker compensation funds back then, he snapped fiercely. Liu's younger brother immediately put on a pitiful, wronged expression. Brother, don't slander me, he whined. You committed this sin yourself. Don't try to pin it on me.
I'm innocent.
I won't admit to something I never did unless you have solid proof. He was certain his older brother could never dig up evidence after all these years. The onlookers murmured in agreement, saying accusations needed proof. I thought to myself that finding evidence would be simple enough. Mr. Liu only needed to pull up the company's old financial records of the funds allocated to his brother, then check his brother's bank transaction history from that same year. It would all prove that Liu's younger brother had taken the compensation money and splurged it on luxury overseas vacations, 5-star cruise feasts, and parties with dozens of young models. Taking the winding small road was far slower than taking the elevated highway. It was clearly taking the long way around for no reason. Father Su frowned, wondering how he could explain himself to old Master Su. Everything I'd predicted earlier had come true. He absolutely could not let old Master Su take that highway route. Father Su turned to Mother Su. Honey, you take Xiao Jiu home first. I'll stay behind and send Dad back safely. He wouldn't rest easy until he'd seen the old man home safely. Mother Su nodded in agreement. All right, drive carefully on the way. With you accompanying him, nothing should go wrong. Father Su sat beside old Master Su in the car and instructed the driver. Take the small side road. It's a bit longer, but there's less foot traffic and it's far safer. Old Master Su leaned lazily against the leather seat and replied indifferently, Do as you wish. Father Su let out a quiet sigh of relief. Along the way, old Master Su spoke up in a deep, displeased tone. Now that we've found our biological granddaughter, Meow Meow was raised by our family all the same. You must never favor one over the other, do you understand? Father Su frowned. Has someone been saying something to you? Old Master Su let out a cold snort. No one needs to tell me anything. Meow Meow is still my granddaughter too. I won't stand for you doting only on your biological daughter and neglecting her. Father Su hesitated to speak. No one's neglecting her. It's just what? Old Master Su cut him off, opening his eyes to stare at Father Su warningly. If you slight Meow Meow because of your biological daughter, I'll never forgive you. Just then, the car radio cut in with breaking news. It is reported that at 6:31 this evening, a section of the North City Ring elevated highway has collapsed, causing a major traffic accident. A passenger car has plunged from the broken overpass into the rushing river below. Rescue teams are already on the scene carrying out emergency salvage operations. Old Master Su froze mid-sentence, utterly stunned. Father Su quickly pulled out his phone and opened the live news broadcast. The footage showed part of the overpass collapsed, with multiple cars piled up in a rear-end collision. Traffic police had cordoned off the area and were directing the chaotic traffic. Firefighters in full safety gear had jumped into the river to search for survivors. Old Master Su's face turned ashen, his lips trembling in shock. My prediction came true after all. If I'd insisted on taking the highway, I would have been the one falling into the river. Father Su breathed a huge sigh of relief, overcome with gratitude. That's exactly why I refused to let you take the elevated road. Xiao Jiu foresaw this and let me hear her inner thoughts. If not for her warning, you would have faced mortal danger today. Old Master Su was still pale with fright, his chest heaving with lingering fear. You're absolutely right. That little girl saved my life. I gave her too small a red envelope earlier. I feel terrible now. Guilt washed over old Master Su instantly. Meanwhile, old Master Zhao had also arrived home. As soon as he stepped through the door, his housekeeper Kai greeted him with a warm, bright smile. Sir, you're home. She gently helped him take off his cashmere wool coat and hung it neatly on the coat rack. Old Master Zhao nodded and stopped to change his shoes at the entrance foyer. Housekeeper Kai thoughtfully arranged his slippers neatly by the doorway. Old Master Zhao looked at her with genuine satisfaction. Kai had worked for his family for 10 whole years. She'd taken impeccable care of him all these years, thoughtful and attentive in every way. How could he ever doubt her based on a few random inner thoughts he'd overheard? She was nothing like the scheming person I'd described. Sir, I've made your favorite tomato beef brisket soup in the kitchen. It's still piping hot. Please go taste it. Thank you for your hard work, Kai. Old Master Zhao replied kindly. But I ate my fill at the birthday banquet tonight, so I won't have any. Have you eaten yet? If not, go ahead and have something. The warm smile on Kai's face faded slightly, turning bitter and downcast. I'm not hungry at all. Old Master Zhao sat down on the sofa, looking at her with concern. What's wrong? Kai forced a weak smile. It's nothing important. I'll go put the tomato soup away for later. Old Master Zhao stared at her worriedly. You've clearly got something on your mind. Tell me. I'll help you sort it out. I hate seeing you so upset. Kai looked distressed as she finally opened up. My parents were both hospitalized recently, and the medical bills have piled up enormously. My aunt's been pressuring me into an arranged marriage. The match is a demolition household with plenty of compensation money. The bride price alone could cover my parents' medical costs. But I've seen the man's photo. He looks fierce and unkind. I don't want to marry a stranger I know nothing about. This isn't the kind of marriage I've ever dreamed of. Yet I can't bear to watch my parents suffer without money for treatment. The medical expenses are far too high for me to afford a loan on my salary. Rushing into this marriage for the bride price is the fastest way to save them. Tears rolled down her cheeks as she spoke. Old Master Zhao felt deep sympathy for her. He was just about to blurt out, "Then why don't you marry me?" when the words died on his lips. It suddenly dawned on him how familiar her story sounded. This was exactly what he'd heard in my inner thoughts earlier. How could I have known exactly what she'd say ahead of time? Old Master Zhao composed himself and spoke gently. "I understand your hardship completely." After a short pause, he added, "I'll lend you the money to cover your parents' medical bills. You've taken such good care of me all these years. You've earned this kindness." Kai wiped away her tears, forcing a delicate, vulnerable smile. "My parents' medical bills come to a full 1,000,000 yuan. Even if I work for you for the rest of my life, I'll never earn that much. Perhaps I should resign myself to fate and go through with the arranged marriage. It's the only way to save my parents." Even though old Master Zhao had already seen my predictions come true one after another, he still refused to believe Kai was a scheming liar. After 10 years of living together, genuine affection had grown between them. Old Master Zhao frowned firmly. "Consider the money a gift. No need to pay it back at all." Kai's eyes glistened with fake tears as she pretended to decline politely. "I couldn't possibly accept that, sir. You're already elderly. This is your retirement savings. I can't take your hard-earned money." Old Master Zhao waved his hand dismissively. "I have more than enough saved for my retirement besides this 1,000,000. This sum means little to me, but it could save your parents' lives. Please take it without hesitation." With that, he walked into his study and fetched a bank passbook, handing it over to Kai. Kai dropped to her knees at once, kowtowing deeply to him with tears streaming down her face. "Sir, you're the savior of my entire family. I have no way to repay your kindness. Would you allow me to offer myself to you in marriage?" A cold, sharp voice cut through the room from outside the door just then. "Absolutely not." Mother Sue rushed into the house with me in tow. She'd originally planned to take me straight home after the banquet, but growing worried about old Master Zhao, she'd asked for my permission to come check on him. Old Master Zhao was surprised to open the door and see us. "Daughter, Xiao Jiao, what brings you two here? The banquet must have tired you out. You should be resting at home." "I just couldn't stop worrying about you," Mother Sue replied, stepping inside with me. Old Master Zhao laughed casually. "There's nothing for you to worry about." Mother Sue's expression turned serious at once. "I just heard this housekeeper offer herself to you in marriage for money." Kai tried to speak up to explain herself, but Mother Sue cut her off coldly. "Be quiet. When your employer is speaking, a housekeeper has no right to interrupt." Her powerful aura immediately silenced Kai, leaving her stammering and unable to reply. Old Master Zhao shot Mother Sue an annoyed glare. "Why are you being so harsh on her?" He quickly turned to comfort the teary-eyed Kai beside him. "Don't be upset, Kai. My daughter's always had a fiery temper." Kai blinked back fake tears, sniffling softly. "It's all right, sir." I sighed inwardly, mocking the obvious act. The green tea pretense was so thick you could smell it a mile away. Mother Sue looked straight at old Master Zhao. "Dad, I heard you're planning to give her 1,000,000 yuan for nothing, and she's offering to marry you in return." Old Master Zhao glared back at his daughter defiantly. "Mind your own husband's business instead of meddling in mine. Look how badly you've upset her." Mother Sue said sternly, "Dad, you're being far too naive. She's only after your money with this fake devotion." "I won't allow you to speak ill of her," old Master Zhao retorted coldly. "I know exactly what kind of person she is after all these years." I sighed inwardly at his stubborn blindness. Wait until he's bedridden and being slapped around by her every day. This fake housekeeper's lies were unbelievable. She claimed her parents were hospitalized, but right now they're sitting in the village playing cards leisurely. Mother Sue said firmly, "Dad, since she claims her parents are seriously ill and hospitalized, I'll give them a call to check on their condition. We can't let you get conned out of your life savings." She'd personally hired Kai and kept a copy of her employment resume on file, which included her parents' contact information as emergency contacts. Kai's face paled with panic at once. "My parents aren't available to take calls right now." Before she could finish speaking, Mother Sue had already dialed the number. "Hello, is this Kai Tsuewa's mother?" she asked calmly. "I'm her employer, calling to ask after your recent health." From the phone came the noisy, chaotic chatter of a mahjong parlor. "I'm in perfect health," an elderly woman's voice rang out loudly. "King Bomb. I can't beat that." Mother Sue hung up the phone and fixed Kai with a cold, accusing stare. "Now what excuse do you have left?" Old Master Zhao was stunned beyond belief, realizing my inner thoughts had come true yet again. He stared at Kai in shock. "Kai, you lied to me? I've predicted two things perfectly now. Are all my other predictions going to come true too?" Old Master Zhao didn't dare to imagine the rest. Then my inner voice echoed in his ears once more. "Grandpa, she hasn't just lied to you. She's been stealing from you all along. That precious set of 1,980 stamps you kept in your room? She stole them and sold them ages ago." Old Master Zhao staggered back in shock. He rushed straight to his bedroom to check his stamp collection, only to find it gone without a trace. I continued my silent commentary. "Not just the stamps either. The authentic Qi Baisher landscape painting hanging in your study was stolen and sold by her too. The fake one hanging there now only costs 99 yuan with free shipping online. You're just too old and dim-sighted to tell the difference anymore. She's slowly robbing you blind right under your nose." Old Master Zhao hurried to the study and stared closely at the landscape painting. Putting on his reading glasses, he examined it carefully. Sure enough, it was a cheap fake. The signature seal on the authentic piece had a deep dark red hue, while this copy's was bright and garish. The brushstrokes and ink blending were all completely off. He couldn't believe he'd never noticed the forgery before. Old Master Zhao ripped the painting off the wall and marched angrily over to Kai. "Explain this to me," he demanded sharply. "Where is my precious 1980s stamp collection? And this painting is clearly a fake. What did you do with the original?"
Kaiser Tam never seen.
"I have no idea. How would I know anything about this? How could anyone else know besides you, living in this house and tending to my every need?" Old Master Zhao roared furiously.